What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. We are back for another movie review. This time it is for the latest entry into the Mad Max franchise. That's right, Mad Max is back. Well, he's not back, but the movie is back. Mad Max Saga is back again. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. I've been waiting for this movie since it has been announced. I love Fury Road, the previous movie, which I actually only saw for the first time in back in 2023. Like I just had never seen it. But when I did see it for the first time, blew my socks off. I loved it, thought it was virtually perfect. I mean, one of the best action movies of the last decade. I know that's like the common buzzword you'll hear among reviewers and critics, but I think it holds up. Like that standard holds up to it, and I think it's true. And George Miller, what he's done with that universe and like kind of that world, I think he is a master of that specific genre and that movie universe. And I don't know how he did it, but hey, hats off to him. But here we are again, back in the wasteland, taking a look at the story of one of the side characters from Fury Road, which I feel like a lot of people didn't necessarily, want to know. But I mean, we're here, and I mean, Furiosa was definitely one of the more interesting characters in Fury Road, and I mean, yeah, why would we want to know? But I mean, Charlize Theron's character from Fury Road certainly was a very critical piece of that movie, and now we get her backstory in Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. So Furiosa, starring Anya Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth. I listened to some reviews, and one of them that I listened to provided a lot of context to this movie that I feel like a lot of people don't know. But um, George Miller, there's a lot of behind the scenes information that he had when he was developing Fury Road. He had been developing back in the 90s, and he was developing Fury Road and Furiosa at the same time. And he was developing Furiosa as more of like a anime story, and he was developing these characters at the same time because he felt the need to write their stories at the same time, which obviously makes sense. um, and he felt the struggle of like, well, he's not giving full attention to one or the other, and so he put Furiosa on hold. And then Fury Road got delayed all the way up until it got released in 2015. And then obviously Mel Gibson couldn't do it, and Tom Hardy got cast, and blah blah blah. The story. And so here Furiosa comes out in 2024. So it's kind of an interesting story that this thing has been in the works all the way back into the original Mad Max movies. It's just kind of interesting that he's been working on this thing for a long time, and here it is finally. But the movie itself, I absolutely loved. It's action packed. However, it's completely different than Fury Road. I know a lot of people are going to compare these two movies a lot. They're completely different. Fury Road is a 2-hour chase scene, start to finish. That's it. This is a thematic story that probably could be broken up into 4 or 5 episodes of a miniseries. I mean, it has chapters, like they're chapter titles that come on the screen. It's a story. Like it has a beginning and an end. Not to say that Fury Road doesn't, but like there are acts to it. There are like more so themes that come out, and climaxes, and like what's the word I'm looking for? Like rising action, falling action, like kind of your more thematic elements that, dare I say, normal movies tend to use. Which, hey, props to George Miller for trying something new. I mean, and it works. I think it absolutely works. And I appreciate it. And then there is the action. I mean, the action is definitely there. There's like 2 war rig scenes. The first one, oh my gosh. I mean, that thing was as epic as you could absolutely ask for. And let me tell you, the thing I love the most about this movie was Chris Hemsworth's performance. Definitely the best of his career, and I don't think it's that close. I was trying to like think of what else he's done that would even like come close. And not to say that like he's a historically like bad actor, he's not. But he doesn't really do these like grandiose performances. Like he's Thor. Like Chris Hemsworth is Thor. Let's just throw it out there. And then, I mean, I'm honestly struggling right now to think of what else Chris Hemsworth's been in. Outside of the Avengers, I know he's in Bad Times at the El Royale because I just watched that movie. But other than that, I really can't think of what else he's done. I'm sure I'm gonna hate myself for not thinking of other things he's done. But his performance in this is like psychotic. And I think that's exactly what it needs to play the character that he is. I mean, he turns a switch, and it's I didn't think he had it in him, and he has a blast doing it. And you could tell he wanted to do this, and he tapped into something that I don't think we've seen from him, and I'm glad he did it. So I hope that he can do that more so in the future. So props to him. I'm very glad to see that he has that kind of acting chops in his bag. Anya Taylor-Joy was great as well. The sound design was awesome in this movie. My seat was vibrating the entire movie, and that is not a complaint. That is some of the best sound design I've ever witnessed. Like second to like Top Gun Maverick. I don't think that thing, like if this doesn't at the very least get nominated for best sound at the Oscars, then we've got a serious problem. But like I think it like actually elevated sound design to a different level, because all these motorcycles and cars and trucks that are coming through this desert, like that really hits home when you're watching this movie and you're feeling that come through the screen. That's what's going to the movies is feeling like. That's what you're supposed to feel. And so really enjoyed that part of it. The visuals are great. There's a couple spots in here that you could tell that the green screen was there, which I don't like commenting on that. I mean, I'm not usually a person that notices those things. And frankly, I didn't really notice them while I was watching it. Like I did, and it kind of just, I moved past it. But then when I was watching some reviews and kind of just like collecting my thoughts, that the reviewers mentioned it, and it kind of just kind of, what am I trying to say? Like recounted in my memory, like, okay, yeah, I was right about that. I did see that. Makes sense. So I don't like mentioning it, but I did notice it. So I do need to bring that up. Like, it's not as crisp as Fury Road visually. Again, it's not a huge thing. I'm not like docking it 40 points for that. Like, it's just a little minor thing. It's not as crisp visually. There's a couple spots here that you're like, there might be that I can tell that's a green screen shot. Whatever. My other little doc and my other little issue with it, and this might be considered a spoiler, so if you want absolutely no spoilers, pause here, wait to go see it, then come back. Anya Taylor-Joy doesn't show up for 45 minutes into this movie. I don't understand how that can happen when she's billed as being like the star, and like, to me, that's a miscalculation. And I get it's a 2.5-hour movie and she's in it the rest of the time, but I was like, we're 45 minutes into this thing. Where the heck is she? And I get it. You have to tell the story of this character from start to finish and get up to where she is in Fury Road. I get it. Okay. But it really started to feel like this isn't even Furiosa's story anymore. This is the story of Chris Hemsworth's character, because that's what we were focusing on for the first 45 minutes. And now I get it. It's a revenge story, so you have to set up like what happened and why she needs to get revenge. I get all that. I just think the first part of that could have been truncated down at the very least 15 minutes, probably a little bit more, because there's significant parts that take place in the second act that I feel like get really rushed, and I was left questioning like, okay, so why is this happening? How did Furiosa end up in this spot? Now, like she's working for Immortan Joe and blah blah blah, and it's just like I feel like because we took so long here in the beginning, now we're having to rush here in the middle. I just something felt off with like, and I don't want to say that's pacing because I really felt like the movie was paced very well. I don't feel like it's a 2.5 hour movie. Like it was like start to finish. I was like, hey, that didn't feel like it was 2.5 hours. I just feel like the first act was too long, which I struggle with. You know what I mean? I don't know why I said you know what I mean. It's not like I'm talking to you. Maybe you can comment and we can have a conversation in the comments. I don't know. So those are my two kind of gripes with the movie. And I don't even want to call them gripes because I loved the movie. I really enjoyed it. So I think what I'm landing on a score as is 86 out of 100. I wanted it to be higher. I wanted it to crack 90, but those two things I do think make me have to go with an 86. I do want to see it again, and maybe the second time I won't feel as strongly about those. Who knows? But 86 out of 100 is where I'm landing on Furiosa. It's a heck of a time at the theater. I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. You'll enjoy it if you go see it. So let me know in the comments what you think. Like, subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.